Hey there, future empire builders. Rhonda Girodi here, your guide on ideas to empire. Today, we're diving into the nitty-gritty of entrepreneurship, the essential paperwork, and how we turn dreams into dollars using those essential business documents. Stick around because missing just one business document could be the difference between success and struggle. If you are an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned business owner looking to level up your paperwork game, this episode is tailored just for you. Rhonda Girodi, certified professional coach and your go-to for all things transformational. Today's episode is like, getting a behind the scenes pass to your business. But before we unravel the business secrets, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our growing community. Now, let's get into it. Imagine this. You have a groundbreaking idea. Get it. You have the passion to fuel that rocket. But what about the paperwork? Neglecting these crucial documents is like building a building or a house with no foundation. It might stand for a while, but eventually it will crumble. Now, I know we're not always able to get all the paperwork together and all the documentation together, but I at least want you to be aware of the things that have to be done. So hopefully that by the end of today's episode, you're a little bit better off than you were yesterday. So we have a lot of documents and paperwork and all the essentials to cover today. But the first, and I think probably the most important, is going to be your business registration. Think of it like your birth certificate for your grand empire. What kind of chaos would your life be in if you didn't have a birth certificate? So that's essentially the position you're putting your business in. So it's essentially your business's legal identity. Registering your business ensures that you are recognized by the government and lots of other agencies and institutions, lending agencies, all other sorts of businesses and individuals who you may need assistance from. That's how your business is going to be officially recognized. So that legitimacy is going to give you access to business loans and protection for some of your personal assets, depending on how you register that business. Speaking of which, so how do you register your business? You have a couple of options. If you are in the US, for example, I would recommend going to your state website. There are likely opportunities to do it online right there. Or you can hire an attorney to do it, or you have lots of other online companies where you can register your business through an online platform. These are lots, and many of them are available to you very affordably. If you're in the Caribbean, also, you do have opportunities. I'm not sure if every island can do this online. Some are able to, but not all of them. So if you're not sure, I would encourage you to start off by visiting your Ministry of Commerce or whatever equivalent that you have in your particular island. Most of these have departments that can help you register at a very low cost. You also have the opportunity to go directly to an attorney who, again, can help you do that. But of course, there'll be a higher cost associated to that. But the options are available. You choose what's most convenient and what's most cost effective for you. Number 2. Business plans. That's going to be your roadmap to success. What is a business plan? It's a detailed plan outlining all of the goals and objectives and strategies for your business, including marketing and financial projections. What does it do? It's going to guide your decision making. It's going to attract investors, and it's going to foster a sense of accountability. So what that's going to do is when you have that business plan, you have something to guide your decisions as you're running your business. You can go back, you can review if market situations change, you can update it, but it does give you something to hold you accountable based on the plan that you've laid out for your company. Now, if you want details on business plans, there is an episode that goes into all the details of how to create the business plan step by step. I have not left you hanging. So go back to that episode. We'll go through all the different sections, how you can fill them in, how you can create a very detailed and effective business plan. Number 3, financial statements. Now that's a big one. We're going to kind of park here for a bit because there are lots of documents. The financial statements are going to indicate your business's health report, basically, going to give you the overall financial health of your company. So you're looking at documents like cash flow statements, income statements, balance sheets, all of that's going to show your financial health. That's going to attract investors. That's going to help you in your decision making on a day-to-day basis, and it will also help you track your profitability. Now, regularly updating financial statements is key, and this is one area where I would advise you to consider getting accounting assistance. This is where a professional can really be worth the pennies that you spend. All right, so financial statements. We're still here. Like I said, we're parking here for a minute because this is critical. So let's talk about each of the, I want to say, the more essential documents one by one. And if you're a little intimidated by accounting and financial jargon, don't worry. I'm going to break everything down into their simple terms. So stick with me. All right. The first one I want to talk about is the cash flow statement. So that's a report that shows how changes in the balance sheet, accounts, and income affect cash and cash equivalents. So that's going to help you understand the sources of your cash and to ensure that you have enough cash to cover your operational expenses. What that means is exactly that what the name implies, cash flow. How is cash flowing in and out of your business, right? So that's going to be important because you need to know, am I making enough revenue? And not just revenue, but actual cash coming in, because we do know that there are situations where you've made sales, but it's going to take 30, 60, 90 days for you to even get that money. So cash flow is very important because it actually documents the cash that's coming in, the cash you have on hand to run the day-to-day operations of your business. The income statement, also known as a profit and loss, and you also hear people call it a P&L. So that's going to show your company's revenue and their expenses during a specific period. So what came in, what went out, typically over a year. As a smaller business, you'll do a year. Larger businesses will do this on a monthly basis. So it's going to give you a snapshot of your profitability. That's going to indicate whether your business is making money or losing money. We're not doing losing out here, but essentially that's what it is. Your break-even analysis. That's going to be a calculation that identifies the level of sales that you need to cover both your fixed and your variable costs. Let's break that down a little bit. What are fixed costs? What are variable costs? As the name implies, fixed costs are costs that are fixed. They don't change, or they're not likely to change. So you're looking at things like, let's say, your rent. Typically, your rent doesn't change every month. Your rent is going to be consistent. It's going to be fixed. Variable costs are costs that fluctuate. So, for example, your gas. If, for example, you deliver your product, if there's a particular month where you had high sales, lots of deliveries, your gas is likely going to be higher. So that's a variable cost. It varies and it's dependent on other factors. All right. So your break-even analysis is going to help you determine the minimum sales required to avoid making a loss and to assess the overall viability of your business. The balance sheet. This is a very important financial document. It's a statement that's going to provide your company with information about the financial position, showing the assets, the liabilities, and the equity, but at a specific date. So it's at a specific moment in time. So let's say as at end of September 30th, whatever the year is, or as at December 31st, 2024. It's going to be at a specific time, a specific date. So that's the difference. The profit and loss is a period. The balance sheet is at a moment in time. Yeah. So we're looking at things like assets. Assets meaning the things that your company owns. Liabilities, the things that your company owes, and of course the equity, the value at a specific date. All right. So it's going to offer your company insights into the overall financial health, and it's going to indicate the solvency and all the liquidity of your business and your ability to meet your long-term and your short-term goals. So let's talk about solvency a little bit. What is solvency? It's your business's ability to meet its long-term financial obligations, indicating whether or not the company can continue to operate over the long haul. I'm assuming you're not just going into business for 2-3 months, and this is something that you want to grow and develop, and maybe even, it's something that you can leave for your children to continue, or whatever the case may be. Basically, what is the long-term health of the company? So for example, when you think of solvency, think of financial health of the business over a long period of time. If a company is solvent, it can pay off its debts and it can continue to operate without relying on constant short-term fixes. Solvency is like having a very sturdy foundation that ensures that your business can stay afloat over the long term. All right. So liquidity refers to how quickly and how easily you have assets, and these assets can be converted into cash without significantly affecting its price. So for example, imagine that you have a jar of marbles, and if you need money urgently, the more marbles you can quickly sell or exchange for cash. So the higher your liquidity, the more quickly you can turn things into cash. So it's about having assets that can be easily turned into spendable cash or actual cash itself. These financial documents are essential tools for entrepreneurs to monitor, analyze, and make informed decisions about their businesses. Together, they provide a very comprehensive view of the financial health. It will guide your strategic planning, and it will aid in effective financial management. Now, I know it might seem like a lot, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to do the best that you can with the financial documents and getting them together and being consistent about it. However, I do understand that you're doing a lot of things. So at the very least, here is my tip. Open an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Sheets document, okay? And I want you to create a little file, and I want you to have 3 columns. Date, detail, and amount. That's it. That's all I want you to track. If you can do that, that's going to put you in a great position. So when you are ready to create those financial documents, you have source data to be able to use. So that's it. The Excel sheet, all you need to do is put a date, whatever the date this thing occurred. The details would be whatever the thing is. So for example, you bought a part for your car, you put what the part is, and then the amount, how much did you spend? And I want you to do that for your expenses, and I want you to do that for your sales, your income, your revenue, okay? At least do that. If you still cannot manage that, do this. Keep all of your receipts. Get receipts for everything, keep receipts for everything. And if you're not sure what to do with those receipts, get an envelope, write the month on it, March 2025, put all your receipts in that envelope. The following month, April 2025, put all of your receipts in that envelope. That way, when you are ready to have someone do your accounts, do your financials for you, you at least have something to use. You have something to give them. Otherwise, it's going to be chaos, a complete nightmare. And I don't want you to have to face that. The ramifications can be immeasurable. And there's no need for you to have to do that with some of these simple tips. Now, even if you don't have all of these documents in place, the third tip I want to give you is for you to put some sort of plan in place. Set a date as to when you're going to get this stuff organized. Okay, put a plan together. Say, I don't have all of this in place right now, but I'm going to begin to get my receipts, or I'm going to make my document, or I'm going to hire an accountant. Whatever it is you need to do, I want you to put a plan in place to get things going, because that's going to make a huge difference in your business. This is another big one, budgeting. So what is a budget? It's a financial plan that outlines the expected income and expenditure over a period of time. Typically, you're looking at 3 months, 6 months, but if you're really feeling adventurous, tackle a year. So it's going to serve as a roadmap for your financial decisions. It's going to help you to allocate resources effectively and set up financial goals. Very pertinent. If you do not have a goal, what are you aiming for? How are you making decisions if you don't even at least have some sort of a goal? So that's what a budget will do. It will give you a goal, and it's going to tell you when and where and how much you're going to spend on a monthly basis. So in the next episode, I actually go into a lot of detail, and I'm going to take you through step by step how to create a budget. I know these things can feel intimidating because I have been there, but I'm going to take you through instructions one layer at a time, and we're going to build out your budget. So stay tuned for that next episode. Contracts. These are the building blocks of trust. What is a contract? A contract is a formal agreement outlining terms and conditions. Now, contracts can be written, they can be verbal. Verbal is binding, but it's a little bit more difficult to hold someone accountable to a verbal contract. And sometimes people don't even remember. You may not even remember what you actually said. So let's try to avoid verbal contracts, particularly for important things, and let's try to document things. That's going to set the expectation. It's going to prevent misunderstandings, and it's going to protect all parties involved. Work with a legal professional to draft clear and comprehensive contracts. And I know that's not always possible. You may not be able to afford it, but depending on how significant the contract is, I would absolutely say to seek legal counsel. Worst case scenario, send an email and just say, hey, based on what we talked about, this is what I'm going to do, this is what you're going to do, or this is what you're going to pay, and we're going to do it by such and such a date. As simple as that. At least that is something binding. All right. And again, if it's a WhatsApp conversation, take a screenshot, something to document terms and conditions. Number 5, employee contracts and policies. So we're going to be navigating the people terrain. And as people, we know who we are. We know how we can be. Have a contract. Again, even if it's simple, agreements and possibilities and policies defining the relationship is going to be very, very helpful to you. It's going to set proper expectations in terms of what your employees are, what you're expecting of your employees, what you're expecting them to do, their roles, and so on. And of course, what they're being compensated for their work. It's going to create a more harmonious work environment, and it's going to protect both you and your employees. All right. And again, regularly update the policies as needed. Stay abreast with the employment laws in your region. That's going to be key. You don't want to be oblivious to these things and then find that you make decisions with your employees that are against the law. That kind of stuff can come back and bite you hard in the butt. Okay. We don't want any of that. So pay attention, stay focused, get your policies and your documents and your contracts in place. Intellectual property documents, safeguarding your brilliance. All right, so you have lots of options here. There are trademarks, there are copyrights, and all of that's needed. You have to protect your intellectual property. What that means is your ideas and all of your concepts, you want to protect them. You don't want anybody to steal the things that you have come up with and claim them as their own. So this is going to preserve your unique offering, and it's going to prevent infringement. All right. Again, this is going to be a legal side of things, and I would encourage you to consult with a legal professional. Now, depending on your geographical location, you may be limited in terms of copyright laws and infringement laws that are available for you to take advantage of. Also, these can sometimes be very expensive depending on the industry that you're in. So here's what you can do. It's called a poor man's patent. What you do is you take your idea and you write it down, you explain it out in all the detail, and you stuff it in an envelope and you address it to yourself. You then go to the post office and mail it to yourself. So it's going to be stamped, and it's going to be a government stamp. So it's going to be well documented and certified because it will have that stamp on it, and you don't open it when you get it. So essentially, all of your information is going to be in there. It's going to be dated so that it'll be official. Now, it's not perfect, but it's better than not having anything. And in case you ever need to prove when you had this idea or that this idea was yours, you can then open that up, and that can serve as some measure of documentation. Did you know that 20% of small businesses fail in the first 2 years due to inadequate record keeping and paperwork issues? So, the accuracy and availability of your business documents could be critical to the success of your business. So I want you to take this seriously. All right, now, we know we can't end this if I don't talk about temperaments. Of course, you have strengths, you have weaknesses, and all of those traits play into your entire entrepreneurial journey. So let's talk about our Mr. Choleric. Naturally, he's a great leader, and he's decisive, and he's very goal-oriented, or she. So there's a tendency to be a little domineering, impatient, and insensitive. Here's how this comes into play in terms of the entrepreneurial impact. So the choleric's impatient may lead to overlooking some of the details. Like, for example, within a contractual situation, he may overlook certain things because he just wants to sign and get this done. And you might miss some crucial things within that contract. So things like that, I would want you to pay attention to. There's also a little bit of insensitivity sometimes, and that might put a strain on some of the relationships with your employees or with your clients or your suppliers. So kind of be mindful of that. My sanguines, love you so much. My creative, sociable butterflies, always optimistic, but you are prone to being a bit disorganized, and you procrastinate and you overcommit. So here's what I want you to be mindful of. You might face some challenges as it relates to maintaining the structure and the discipline required for the paperwork. I get that. So that's why I need you to focus a little bit more on getting that done. Also, your optimism might allow you to overlook certain aspects within a legal context and not pay attention to all of the details and the financial aspects of things. And again, you might have some challenges with overcommitting to your customers and promising things that you're not able to do. But I want you to stay focused, keep track of your documentations, keep track of the financial statements. All right. My phlegmatics, my beautifully calm and diplomatic, empathetic people, beautiful people, but with a tendency to be a little bit indecisive, and you want to avoid confrontation at all costs. So you're also a little bit resistant to change. So this is what I want you to pay attention to. You might struggle a little bit with making certain business decisions, and you may not make them in a timely manner. So for example, you have a contract to sign, you're delaying, you're just sort of mulling over certain things. Now, also, there may be aspects, let's say, within that agreement that you're not comfortable with, but because you want to avoid the confrontation, you're not addressing it. And you may bind yourself and tie yourself into doing something that you don't really want to do simply because you didn't want to speak up and say that you didn't really want to do it. So I want you to pay attention to that a little bit. Also, your adaptability. Sometimes you're a little resistant to change, but it's the entrepreneurial landscape. It's dynamic and always changing. So you're going to have to be a little bit more adaptable in terms of dealing in that space and being successful within that space. My beautiful melancholics, your detailed mind, your analytical nature, your conscientiousness, I love that about you. But you also have a tendency to be a bit of a perfectionist. You're prone to overthinking, and you're very sensitive to criticism. So within the entrepreneurial space, here's what I need you to pay attention to. You might spend excessive time mulling over things. So the details of a contract, things that are irrelevant, things that are not material to what you're actually trying to accomplish, and that may delay progress. So that's what I want you to pay attention to. Also, your sensitivity to criticism. It's the business world. You will get feedback. You may not enjoy it, but I want you to receive it well and try for it not to hurt. Okay, receive it for what it is, an opportunity to grow and improve. Of course, there are going to be inevitable changes that you have to deal with. I know you're not a huge fan of change, but sometimes there are disagreements, sometimes there are setbacks, and that's all part of the journey and comes with the territory. Entrepreneurs can harness their strengths of their temperaments, absolutely, but they also have to be aware and actively manage some of the weaknesses to manage all the complexities of this entrepreneurial life to be able to be the great success that I know you can be. Now, let's wrap up all of this paperwork stuff. Here we go. The choleric entrepreneur may charge into business, but they need to step back a little bit and pay attention to the precision of the documents. All right, that's going to be important. The sanguines, your creativity needs a little bit of structure. Phlegmatics, you can use the paperwork and the documentation to help you maintain a sense of peace because things are well organized. And of course, my melancholics, pay attention to the detail. Don't let the perfectionism paralyze the progress. All right. I want you to understand and manage your temperament and the weaknesses related to your temperament so that you can watch your empire rise. Congratulations. You've just covered a lot, and I can feel that you're feeling more confident as it relates to all this business document stuff. Remember, the success is in the details. So if you found this episode helpful, hit that like button, share it with your fellow entrepreneurs or anybody else you think might be looking into getting into the entrepreneurial landscape. All right. Now, the documents, I want you to continue giving that thought. All right. It's very important. Comment below what you think about business documents or entrepreneurship in general. But before you go, I prepared a free guide on mastering the paperwork game. We're just going to go into the essentials. We're not covering all business documents, obviously, but the key ones, the things that you're going to need to get you going. I want you to click the link in the description and grab your copy. Stay tuned for more transformative content from this series, Ideas to Empire. This is Rhonda Girodi signing off. Build those empires, my friend. Build them.